Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Korok Seed Master Mode Challenge. This is the series where we are on an adventure to collect all 900 Korok Seeds before defeating any of the Divine Beasts or any shrines beyond those of the Great Plateau. So let's get started with the next 20 seeds in our adventure. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as the subscription is free and easy, and don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed. So the first seed that we are off hunting is just off the top of where we left our last episode, and it's on this pillar right above the Gerudo Canyon stable. Now what we'll need to do is simply land on top of the pillar, lift up the rock, and that will unmask the Korok, giving us the first seed of this episode. And you know what we've got to do. As soon as we found it, drop that rock right back on top of his head. Now the next rock is actually just back across on the other side of the canyon. There are these little ledges on this cliff that you'll want to climb up, and up 3 or 4 of these cliff rims you'll find that there is another rock sitting on the corner. But as soon as you've gone up to this 3rd level, what you'll want to do is take a detour around, as there is a hidden chest over here on the side, which is going to reward you with a golden bow. That's a very handy bow to have because it zeroes in and pinpoints your target, allowing you to hit them much easier. And then one ridge above that, we have that Korok, so you'll want to go ahead and lift the rock off the top of his head to collect the seed from him, and just like the last one, drop the rock back down on top of his head. Now seed 43 is actually out into the Gerudo Desert, and this is where we're going to spend the majority of our time in the next couple of episodes. So there's this little land bridge here that you'll want to walk out over, and at about the midway point there is a little metal box, and as soon as you activate your magnesis room, you'll want to walk that right back over to the cliffside that you came from, where you will find the structure that you're trying to place the magnet block into. Now the slot that you'll need to slide the block into is on the right hand side, and it's that first little notch up from the bottom on that edge, which will prompt the Korok to spawn and reward you for your efforts. Now the next thing that we're going to do is fly over to the Gerudo Tower. Now we're not coming over to this tower so we can find the seeds that are on the portion of the map that it uncovers, but rather because it is a very high sitting tower that is up above the area that we will need to focus on getting the seeds out of the desert. So it'll prove as a very nice respawn point, or a place that we can warp back to, especially when the elements get quite rough. So one activation of that will allow us to set the respawn point here. We will then go ahead and void the warranty of our Sheikah Slate once more, like we have with all of our runes in any towers previous, and that will unlock the next section of the map. On to seed number 44. This will require a brief glide down from that tower. And the nice thing about this seed is, even though it is right in the middle of the sweltering desert, it's mainly in the shadows of some of these other towers. So as soon as you make your way across this little pillar, you will be able to drop down into some shade, which will protect you from the heat and the elements. Now another thing that you'll want to notice is down in the right hand corner, our map has gone fuzzy due to the sandstorm that's kicked up, and that is one of the inconvenient parts about the Gerudo Desert as a whole, as there are segments of it that are not navigable using the map in real time. So you've got to kind of memorize any large defining features before you go off hunting any of the seeds that are available in this part of the desert. But dropping this magnet block on the top of the spire to make it match the adjoining statue will reward you with your next Korok Seed. Now, Korok Seed number 45 is coming up, but first I wanted to introduce you to my friend William Walrus, the Sand Seal, and he'll be helping us out a little bit, not only in this video, but some of the upcoming videos, as horses do not navigate through the desert. But here's an interesting challenge that I wasn't really expecting to see, though it does happen whenever you get close enough to Va Naboris, who's running around out here in the desert. Now, Va Naboris is not something that we'll be focusing on currently, but she does have a defense mechanism that you need to keep in mind, especially because some of these Korok seeds are right within the little radius that she walks in. She'll just kind of do circles around out in this desert and not really affect you directly, but if she does come too close to you, she will conjure up a lightning storm and start to inflict lightning bolts down on top of your head if you don't get out of range in time. So that's an added challenge that you will need to keep in mind as we continue hunting for seeds out here in the desert. With that said, let's go ahead and have a look at seed number 45. Now, this seed is out here in the desert, and a lot of seeds are actually located on top of some of these bones, or some of these fossils that are hanging out. And this one is actually on the structure right out ahead of us. So we will run over, glide down this part of the dune. Come to think of it, it probably would have been a little bit quicker and more efficient if we would have surfed on our shield down. But you'll want to start on this far side of the bone structure, climb all the way up to the top, and you can kind of see already there's this flower hanging out on the edge, and this is just going to zigzag back and forth on some of the ribs of this side of this fossilized structure. And this is what I was warning you about. If you get too close to Vonneborus, she will start to conjure up some lightning. But it just so happened that as she was on her regular trajectory, she edged herself out, so it's not something that's going to affect us at this point in time, but we will see that a little bit later. Climbing out to the final section, we are greeted with the white flower, which means we've completed the challenge, which gives us the Korok and that next Korok seed. The next seed that we're looking for is seed number 46, which is over here in these rock ruin areas. Now, there will be a couple of stall enemies that pop up if you're out here during the night, which is nice because it gives you access to some of these weapons, which are really good for replenishing out of your inventory if you're missing things. And I will be coming back for this in just a moment because my spiked Boko Club is going to run out. Now, up on top of this little structure here, we have the starting flower, which is interesting that they spawn out here given how dry and arid it is. But it will zigzag back and forth around a couple of rocks in this circle, so you'll want to keep an eye out for any of those rocks that spawn the flower, as you will be running back and forth across a couple of them in order to find the rock that houses the final flower. Now, I got a little bit turned around, so I'm wanting to do a general sweep of the perimeter here, just to make sure that I can find the flower in question. After stumbling around for a little bit further, we find where it spawned over here, which then takes us over to the final spawning point of that flower, which gets us the final flower collected and the next Korok seed in our adventure here. Now, seed number 47 is another one of these Magnesis block puzzles, and as you hear, this is right within range of Vonneborus, which is not exactly a fun element to add in, but she, like I said, walks around in some circles out there in the desert, so she will tend away from this puzzle and then loop back around towards it. But ultimately, what you need to do is you need to find the Magnesis block that is needed to finish out this quest, and a good way to figure out where that block is to go ahead and activate your Magnesis rune, as things that you can magnetize light up with a red glow. And as it turns out, that block is down here below this little rock with the actual puzzle on top. So first off, you'll want to magnetize that block and place it back up on top of the rock where the puzzle is located, and then it's very obvious, this puzzle, where you need to slide this block into the hole in the adjoining structure. Now, as I kind of warned, Vonneborus is going to loop back around, and as you can see here, she has targeted back onto us, but a quick glide away out of range, and she herself will walk out of range in the other direction, allowing us to come back around and complete this puzzle with relative ease. So picking up this block once more, we'll be able to fidget with it a little bit. We'll be able to slide it right into the hole that makes this statue resemble the one to its immediate right, which grants us the next Korok seed in our little adventure. On to seed number 48. This one is out of range of Vonneborus, so we don't need to worry about any of the things that we've seen with some of our previous seeds here, but it is on top of this little stone guardian. And there's actually two different seeds over here in this area. The second one we will go ahead and grab a hold of once we've got this one. as we need to climb all the way to the top of this guardian, and the seed in question will be right on top of his head underneath this rock, which is a pretty common theme when it comes to hiding Koroks. So after lifting the rock up and collecting the seed from him, we'll just go ahead and kind of punish him for his unoriginality by dropping the rock back on top of his head. Now, like I'd mentioned, seed number 49 is also in this area, and it's a quick glide over to the stone statue that is at the head of this little formation. And to claim this seed, what you'll need to do is, between the arms of the statue, there's a little balloon that's floating, and you just need to destroy that balloon, whether it be with an arrow, a bomb, or whatever else. Now, I had full intentions of climbing up to the top of this statue, kind of what you see in the picture on the left, but as it turns out, Link doesn't like climbing those sheer heights, so as soon as I'm landed in a safe spot, we go ahead and pull our bow and just launch an arrow straight into the balloon in question, prompting the Korok to deliver us that seed. Seed number 50 is up over the edge of the little outcropping where those statues are hiding, and it's actually found inside one of these 3 skulls. Now, I was concerned that we would have to fight all of the enemies in this area in order to gain access to the puzzle inside the skull, but as it turns out, they lose interest in you pretty quickly as soon as you're out of their field of vision and sight. So what I ended up doing here is just destroying or taking out the enemy that is guarding the skull in question. I was hoping to be able to sneak up behind him and kind of sneak stripe him, but that wasn't the case. But if you rush him down, you should be able to take him out with relative ease. Now, once you get inside the little structure, you'll be able to walk around, and there's actually the adjoining puzzle that mirrors what you're looking for up on the ceiling, and the block is hidden up there. So as soon as you grab that, you'll be able to swing it over to the complementary puzzle on the wall, and upon sliding it into the right place on the top edge of that puzzle, you'll be able to gain the 50th seed, at least for us in our adventure, which means we're at the halfway point of the seeds that we're looking for today. Seed number 51 is a short hop and a skip away from that area with the skulls, and it's actually on top of this little rock formation here. And once we're on top of the rock formation, collecting any of the rushrooms that are there, we'll have this little circle puzzle. Now, with these circle puzzles, a good strategy to find the rock that you're looking for to complete it is to actually activate your stasis rune, as that will outline the loose rock that you can then pick up and walk over to complete the puzzle. Dropping it into this chink in the hull will allow us to gain the trust of that Korok, and he will reward us aptly with a seed. Seed number 52 is not a unique puzzle in its own right, though it is the first time that we're seeing it in this series. Some of our upcoming seeds that we'll be focusing on in future videos will be this exact same puzzle type. Basically, there will be scattered throughout the Gerudo Desert a couple of cacti in a row on top of a lone dune. And as you'll notice, 2 of the cacti have Volt Fruit on one of the arms, but the other has a couple of extra. So what you need to do is you need to make the cacti match in terms of where the Volt Fruit are placed in order to collect the seed from this area. Each cactus formation is actually the exact same. I kind of wish that they would have mixed up where the Volt Fruits were placed, but that's what we have to work off of. Now, from this puzzle, if we shield surf off the top of this dune down to this little oasis atop this rock structure, we'll be able to find our next seed. Now, there is a Molduga that runs around in a circle around this rock formation, so you've got to be a little bit cautious when getting up here initially. And this little rooftop area does have quite a few useful plants to actually kind of replenish some of your gear. There's a bunch of spicy peppers, there's some palm fruits lying around. There is a cooking station over here, but unfortunately you cannot cook whenever there are enemies near, and that does include the Molduga that's running around. But next to the cooking station, there is a chest that will grant you 10 bomb arrows, which is quite nice because bomb arrows are one of your more strong weapons in your inventory, especially if you can pair them up with a Lionel bow. Now, upon collecting the bombs arrows out of that chest, if you come back over to this side of the plateau, you'll be able to shoot down a balloon atop this tree, which gives you your next Korok Seed. After that, you'll want to get out of this area as quickly as you can. We have the return of our good friend William Walrus here, and he's actually going to help us out with collecting this next seed. Because what we have to do is we've got to climb on top of this little stone arch figure, at the top of which there will be a little Korok time trial start, which you'll see right now up in the top right-hand corner of the screen. So what you'll want to do is jump over that gap, step on the little tree trunk, and the timer will start ticking down. From here, William is going to help us zoom across this section of the desert, saving a lot of time. You just don't have enough time to run across this area. Even if you were to do the side quest and grant the sand boots, it'd be some pretty tight timing to get over here. But by the time William's got us dropped off at the adjoining structure, we have plenty of time to quick climb up the structure and walk over to the ring to complete the time trial and collect the seed from the subsequent Korok. Now you can actually see in that last shot off in the distance a little rock with a pillar on top, and that is the zone where we'll need to head over to collect Korok Seed 55 of our adventure. William will help us zoom down on top of the structure here, and from there it's just a quick little climb up to the top portion of the rock, and another quick little climb up to the top of the pillar where there is a rock sitting on the top, which, as we've seen many a time before, has a Korok hiding underneath it. So picking up that rock will spawn the Korok, and you know that we've got to chastise him for his lack of originality, so rock goes on top of the head. This is the last time that we'll be using William in today's adventure. He actually helps us avoid a narrow close encounter with that Molduga, which is over here in a training ground portion of the desert. This is yet another rock atop a pillar, but this pillar is right in the center of the area that the Molduga runs around. So you've got to make sure that you're either ahead of the curve or outpacing him with your accompanying seal buddy there. But that gets us seed number 56, and we can drop the rock on top of his head before taking off to a different spot. Now we're coming back to the Gerudo Tower to glide down to the next area, mainly because we needed to get out of the sun, as it was beating down on top of us, and the desert is not a good place to be if you don't have any sort of heat resistance. So right over here atop of this little cliff, you'll see that we have a pinwheel, which generally means one of two things. In this instance, it means that it is an arrow shooting puzzle. And the nice thing about this particular puzzle is it's just 3 balloons that span outwards and then come back into the center. And as you'll notice here, I actually get every single balloon with a single arrow shot after I analyze it to get the timing correct. And with one more return from this little balloon here, we're going to let that arrow loose, which is going to allow us the clear for this Korok Seed, which was one of the more fun shooting puzzles in my opinion. Quick glide down from the area where we just came from, we'll find another one of these rock puzzles. And this one, the rock that you need to drag over is actually down back behind these 2 little outcroppings. As soon as you pick that up, you can walk it over into the sunlight and drop it into the chink in the hole, which will allow you the access to this seed from this Korok, after which you'll want to get out of the sun as quickly as you can, if it's during the day. Seed number 59 is another one of these circle puzzles, and the rock is hidden a little bit back behind some of these bushes. You can notice it there with my stasis room check, but it's a short walk over from where that rock is originally to drop it down into the hole, which is in the center of the little Venn diagram of those rocks there, which will get us the second to last rock of today's video. And for the final rock, we'll want to come over to this little Gerudo Canyon, actually the Yiga Clan Canyon, as there is a little pillar that comes out that has a flower that will spawn all the way up the top. And you've just got to, like any other puzzle of this sort, track down the flowers individually and grab them as they progress throughout their trajectory. Now that second to last flower is right there on the lip, and then the final white flower from that Korok will spawn up atop this pillar, which gets us seed number 60. Well, Link's a little bit tuckered out after today's adventures and escapades, but he's going to recharge and get ready to go in our next episode. So thanks again for watching. Again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, as the subscription is free and easy. Thanks again for watching, and you have yourself a fantastic rest of your day.